Let's do it. We are in effect on a Monday night. On a Monday night, a 4-game Monday night. We are in the middle of the NBA season. Yes, we are. We are in what is called the dog days of the NBA season. Yes, we are. In effect, man, this is what it is. What's up, guys? How y'all doing tonight? Everybody good? I'm good tonight. How about you guys? How y'all doing tonight? How is everybody? We have an interesting topic tonight. Yes, we do. We got a really interesting topic tonight. So I want to, you guys know me, right? You know I like to, I like to pick your brain. I like to, I like to talk about things that stoke your interest and put some stuff on your mind more than anything. And tonight is one of those nights. Right? Tonight is one of those nights. And I want to talk about a couple of things. So I'm scouring through League Pass tonight, and I'm watching the Celtics. I'm watching all different teams, right? And I was watching the Celtics a little while ago, and I heard about Halliburton getting hurt. I don't know if I don't know how serious it is, but I just heard about it. I'm actually I just flipped back from the Heat game. That's what I was watching. I was watching the Heat in Houston, which I'm gonna get back to. But the way I see the NBA season is broken up into thirds, right? The NBA season is broken up into thirds. You got your first 27 games, which teams are trying to figure out lineups. They're trying to figure out personnel. How do I implement this? How do I get rotations down? All of that good stuff. I apologize. I didn't know that this was still on. Anyway, how do I get my rotations down? How do I implement my offense? Who's going to be the backbone of my defense? That's the first 27 games. You still trying to figure out what it is you got, right? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to figure out what it is you have. Then the next 27 games, which is what is known as the dog days of the NBA. Right? It's the dog days of the season. At this time of the season, you got guys beat up. You got guys in and out of the lineup. You got inconsistent play. You got to motivate your guys for games that can be difficult to motivate guys for. Boston having to motivate Jason Tatum to get ready for Detroit in January in Detroit. I got to get up for that one. To get Giannis to get hyped for Utah coming to town. I got to get up for that one. This is the toughest stretch of the season because the last 28 games, because again, the season is broken down into 3 parts. There's the first 27 games, there's the middle 27 games, and then there's the last 28 games. In the last 28 games, this is where it's after the All-Star break. Playoffs are coming up within the playoffs are about a month and a half away. In the process of the playoffs being a month and a half away, you should at that point. I got my lineups down. We're getting ramped up for the playoffs. Guys are recovering from injuries. Guys are getting healthier at this point. We're starting to put it together more as a unit. So when we do that, that gets us more into the playoffs, right? That gets us more into playoff mode. But I was doing some homework and I found out, right? I found out that the dog days of the season, that's the middle 27 games. That's from around Christmas, like the middle to the end of December, like around Christmas, like the 22nd, 23rd. From that point up until the All-Star break. Up until that point, I went back 10 years. And in the 10 years that I went back, of those 40 teams, only one of them that made the conference championship, only one of them that made the conference championship played below 500. That was the Cavs in 17-18. Everybody else was over 500 during this time, right? During that time, during these 27 games, from the beginning or around the 20th, about the 23rd of December, up until the All-Star break, only one team played below 500, and that's the 17-18 Cavs. Everybody else played above 500. Not only did everybody else play above 500, of those 40 teams, only one of them played below 500. 38 of those teams went on significant win streaks. The Lakers from last year, right? The Lakers from last year are the only team that was one game over 500. Everybody else was at least 5 games over 500. And on top of that, they've had the rest of those teams had significant win streaks. So the Lakers last season, they had a 5-game win streak. But other than that, right? Other than that, everybody else had significant win streaks. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 13-14 season. They won 10 straight. San Antonio, that same season, they won 9 out of 10. Atlanta in I believe it was the 14-15 season when they was in the Eastern Conference Championship. When they were in the Eastern Conference Championship, I think they won 19 straight. They won 21 out of 22, 19 straight. I think that Golden State team in 15-16 that went to the NBA Finals that won 73 games, they won 10 out of 12. I'm sorry, not 10 out of 12. They won 12 out of 13. They were rolling. They were absolutely rolling. So I say that to say, I say that to say a team, for example, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Minnesota, who is at the top of the Western Conference, as of today, since this 27 game schedule has started, this third of the season, since this started, Minnesota is 8-8. I'm sorry, they're 4. They played 8 games, so they're 4-4. They're 500. So if Minnesota is who I think they are, there's a 9 wins and 11 games coming up. There's a 10 wins and 12 games coming up. If Boston is who I think they are, there's a 12 games and 14. There's a 12 wins and 14 games coming up. And with all of that being said, listen, yo, hold on for a second. I'm sorry. Yo, that Cat Williams logic, I think it's great, my man, but I'm here to talk basketball. You want to talk about Cat Williams? Go ahead, Joe. That's somewhere else. That's not here tonight. Nah, that's not here. I'm talking about basketball. That's what I'm doing. I'm not talking about Cat Williams. I'm talking about basketball. I don't care about that. But anyway, the Minnesota Timberwolves, as of right now, are at 500. So if they are who I think they are, that 8 wins in 10 games is coming up. That 9 wins in 12 games, that's coming up. And the reason why that's coming up is because this right here is the toughest part of the season. Trying to keep guys healthy, trying to keep guys focused, trying to keep guys prepared, mentally tough. This is the toughest part of the season. Of all the all the teams that I've seen over the last 10 years and the homework that I've done, the conference finalists in each conference during this stretch of the year is playing well above 500. 38 of the 40 teams during this stretch of the year are playing well above 500. Just these 27 games. And with that being said, right, with that being said, it says a lot about team chemistry. It says a lot about your leader on the crew. It says a lot about where this team is headed. So I'm interested to find out, right? I'm interested to find out from the teams at the top of the, not necessarily the teams at the top of the East or the West, just playoff teams. Just playoff teams in particular, right? I'm really interested to see how the rest of these teams fare by the time the All-Star break comes, because I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to do some homework, and I'm going to find out which teams have been good, which teams have fallen off. I'm definitely going to do some homework on these teams. This super chat that I got to deal with. Noah said Luka and Kyrie cooked the T-Wolves defense yesterday. Yeah, they did. 100% they did. Luka and Kyrie. I think they accounted for 69 points. Yeah, I think they accounted for 69 points. This is the same. This is the same Dallas team that is still without their big man. The Minnesota Timberwolves have the #1 interior defense percentage-wise in the league. They're only giving up 53% in the paint for the season. That's #1 in the league. Luka's got such a way in slowing guys down, and not just slowing guys down, slowing himself down. He's so crafty with his game that it's pretty impossible to slow him down. And Irv got going last night pretty quickly. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to jump the gun on Dallas. I don't want to jump the gun on Dallas. I don't want to say that the Dallas Mavericks are a legit playoff contender. And Irv just got back in the lineup the last 4 games. It's the same Dallas Maverick team that literally, today is Monday. A week ago today, Utah beat them by 30. A week ago today, Utah beat them by 30. Smoked them. About 2 weeks ago, they lost to Minnesota. 2 weeks ago, they lost to Minnesota. They're one of the slowest paced teams in the game. They got one of the worst defenses in the game. So I'm not going to jump the gun on Dallas, but when Irv and Luka get going, because Luka has been one thing that I have to give Luka credit on. Luka has been a lot better defensively. I really like that about him. I do. I really like that about him. The thing that I like about him the most in terms of his defense is his effort, more than anything. His ability to get his hands on passes, to get in the passing lane, to play one-on-one defense on the block. He knows, right? He knows that he could be a mismatch for the majority of bigs. So when Cat gets him on the block, that's really a mismatch for Cat. But with that being said, Luka is crafty enough to give Cat space, know when to crowd Cat. And he ended up getting a legit rip last night. So the effort is actually there with Luka. There was a time when you couldn't sell me that Luka wasn't the worst defensive player in the game. There was a time when you could not sell me that. And now the effort has changed with him. And because the effort has changed with him, his defense has changed. He looks livelier defensively. Now we got to get Irv will give you effort, and I won't argue that. Irv will definitely give you effort. The problem with Irv is he won't give you continuous effort on the defensive side of the ball. And one of the things I found out with championship teams, with teams that make deep runs in the playoffs, that in order to get deep into the playoffs, you got to play defense. You have to be one of the better teams to play defense. A prime example would be, people talk to me a lot about the meltdown that LeBron James had in 2011, which to this day, I can't explain it. I mean, I can give you a tidbit of what it was. I thought that Dallas did a good job in giving him different looks. But what a lot of people don't talk about with the Dallas Mavericks, they had a top 10 defense that year. They were a damn good defense. So because of that, I can't just look past that, right? I can't just look past that. So when I think about a Dallas Maverick team, that I think that I look at points per game. A lot of people don't. I care about that sort of stuff. A lot of people don't. They look at defensive rating and per 100 possessions. I look at the fact that you're giving up 130 a game. And you in dog fights. It's not like you're giving up 130 and you scoring 150. That's not what's going on. You're giving up 128 and you scoring 132 or 134. That's not a recipe for winning. It's not. No, it is not. And when you're one of the worst defensive teams in the game, like the Dallas Mavericks, which I thought that, I thought that they would be better. I did. I thought Dallas would be better this season, and they're not. I think league average teams are giving up 115 a game. They're giving up almost 117 a game on average. And that's not a recipe for winning. It's not. Now, don't get me wrong. They got a glass cleaner in Lively. I really like him. He's lively, 100%. But with that being said, they're also deficient in a lot of other areas. They're not. I thought that they would be a better rebounding team than they are. I'd be lying if I said I thought that. I'd be lying if I said, considering who Jason Kidd is and how much he values that sort of stuff, I thought that they would be a better rebounding team than what they are, and they're not. They're one of the better rim protecting teams in the game. 100% on that. They're one of the better paint teams in the league. But I don't want to. I digress. With that being said, right? I just want to make clear. That these teams in particular have shown me. These teams in particular have shown me that if you're looking for a team that's going to the conference championship or to the NBA finals, look no further than playoff teams during this stretch. To play above 500. You do have an exception. Cleveland Cavaliers in the 17-18 season. Yes, you do. Last year's Lakers, who, as bad as everybody said that they were above 500 during this stretch. And in addition to them being above 500 during this stretch, the last 28 games, they won 20 of them. They went 20-8 for the last 28 games. So when you're playing above 500 and you rolling at the end, that definitely matters. That definitely matters. So again, I'm looking the teams that I'm thinking about that I'm going to be paying more attention to during this stretch of all the teams that I'm thinking about. I'm going to be paying more attention, particularly to Milwaukee, Philly, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, Sacramento, and Dallas. Those are the teams that I'm gonna be playing that I'm gonna be paying particular interest to. And the reason why I'm gonna do that is because last year I watched the Miami Heat as an 8 seed, because a lot of people, I watched the Miami Heat as an 8 seed make it to the NBA Finals. And a lot of people said, well, the reason why Miami went to the NBA Finals, the reason why they were an 8 seed is because, and the reason why they were an 8 seed because they were hurt. No, they weren't. That's not true. That is not true. Bam played 78 games last year, 79 games last year. Kyle Lowry, I think he played 67 games. Max Strus, I think he played close to 70. I think if he didn't play 70 games, he played close to 70 games. Jimmy Butler played 63 games, which, by the way, Jimmy Butler before this season, Jimmy Butler over the last 10 years, Jimmy Butler on average has played 62 games a season. So that's kind of who Jimmy Butler is. But Caleb Martin, I think he played over 60 games. Who else am I thinking about? Duncan Robinson, he played over 60 games. So the logic that this team was hurt, I'm not buying that. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. And the reason why they did not perform because they were hurt. That's not what happened. The reason why they weren't a higher seed is because they weren't very good offensively. They were last in the league in points. They had the slowest pace in the league. This had nothing to do with guys being in and out of the lineup. No, it didn't. Because you had plenty of guys playing. Plenty. Offensively, they weren't very good. That was the problem with the Miami Heat. So those are the teams that I'm going to be particularly paying attention to, because I already think that the Boston Celtics, I think they win an NBA championship. I'm not on the fence. I'm not wavering about that. I think that this is who they are. I think that they're going to win the NBA championship. So I am going to pay attention. I'm going to check them out, but I'm not going to be locked in on them. I'm going to be locked in on the other teams. I'm going to pay attention to Minnesota. I'm going to pay attention to Milwaukee. I will be paying attention to Sacramento and Dallas and Philadelphia. I will be paying attention to them. 100% I will be. So this is a really interesting time of the year. And the reason why I say this is an interesting time of the year is because this time of the season is the time of the year where a lot of games just kind of go over people's heads. Not a lot of people pay attention to it. You got teams like Detroit and Utah, Portland. So it's hard to get up for these teams. It just is. It's hard to get up, especially this time of year. It's hard to get up for the Charlotte Hornets. It is. It's hard to get up for these teams. And I'm not one of these people who doesn't pay attention to this time of year. The reason why I pay attention to this time of year is because, these teams, man, they nobody comes out of nowhere. Let's get to the bottom of that. Nobody comes out of nowhere. And if you think that they do, right? If you think that they come out of nowhere, you're mistaken. Sadly mistaken. This is not a trend where a team all of a sudden you go, damn, where did the Golden State Warriors come from? Or where did the Cavs come from? And where did these guys come from? They came from right now. That's where they came from. They came from right now. When everybody else is ailing, when everybody else is lacking, I believe they call it lacking. When everybody else is doing that, this is what they're doing. They're on their jobs. So I'm interested to see what happens during this time of year. But I want to hear from you guys. I do. I want to hear from you guys about the dog days of the season and who at this time, right? Who at this time can separate themselves, because that's what this time of the year is. This is the time of year where teams separate themselves from other teams. This is the time of the year when this is the time of year when you see teams that are good become great. Nobody really talks about them, but this is the time when that happens. This is the time when you turn on the TV and you find out that Milwaukee has won, 14 straight during this time of year, which they did that last year. I think they won 16 out of 17, and they were ultimately the number one seed. If Giannis didn't get hurt, I think that really threw a monkey wrench in. I do. I think that threw a monkey wrench in everything that they were doing, and I don't think that Giannis was prepared mentally after he got hurt. I don't think that Giannis was prepared mentally to close games. I don't think that he was confident enough to go to the stripe. It was obvious late in those games. It was obvious late in those games that he didn't want the basketball. It was obvious that he didn't want to go to the stripe. It was obvious that he just didn't want to be involved. And him getting hurt, I think that also kind of wavered him a little bit too. Even though he was playing good, but I do think that I do think that took it took a mental toll on him. 100% it did. And I think they paid for it. They 100% paid for it. So because of that, they fell off. In addition to how bad they were defensively, with not helping out Drew Holiday and letting Jimmy Butler just go after him. They were just bad defensively. So no, Sebastian, I'm not going to do that. Get out of my comments, man. God damn, you're the same dude that said to me earlier today. Let me tell you about this dude. This is the same dude who said to me earlier today. He said this to me earlier today. I want to make sure that we clear on this. He said this to me earlier today. Don't start the foolishness about Jordan Poole getting punched in the face. Just so you guys know, basketball, football, soccer, hockey, all of these sports, all of them, not some of them or all of them, these athletes, what they do, what their logic is, and what they are built on is confidence. 90% of who an athlete is confidence. I'll give you an example. Jimmy Butler does not blow me away with his athleticism. Jimmy Butler does not blow me away with his ball handling or his ability to knock down a mid-range jump shot or his ability to get by a guy. He doesn't do any of those things that I'm looking at and I'm going, yo, this dude is super nice. No, he doesn't. You know what Jimmy Butler does do, though? Jimmy Butler walks on the floor and makes it clear it ain't one of you dudes out here better than me. Not one of y'all. Line them all up. That includes when James is on the floor. That includes when Joker is on the floor. That includes when Giannis is on the floor. When he's on the floor, he looks at everybody like, I'm the baddest you know what out here. There's not one of you dudes out here that's better than me. Not one of y'all. You know what that is? That's called confidence. Now, when a guy who's that confident, something happens and you start to chip at it, whether he gets injured, whether he gets outplayed, whether his team starts to falter, you start to chip at that confidence. And when you start to chip at that confidence, you start to chip at his game. So a guy like Jordan Poole, who gets on a championship unit in Golden State, he has an immense amount of confidence. He's playing behind Klay Thompson, who now comes into the who comes back into the lineup. He's playing great, by the way. They did not need to have Klay Thompson back in the lineup. He was doing just fine. They could have kept him coming along slowly. They could have very well kept him along. They could have very well had him come along slowly. But they didn't. They rushed Klay. That being said, Jordan Poole was still playing fantastic. His confidence was through the roof. They win the NBA championship. In the process of them winning the NBA championship, he gets into a skirmish with Draymond Green. And it's something that happened behind closed doors. Only except it didn't stay behind closed doors. Everybody saw it. So now, with everybody seeing it and him hearing about this on the regular, in addition to his game, now you're starting to chip at his confidence. You're starting to chip at who he is. Now move him to Washington, where they have no structure. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no leader. None of that stuff. He comes from that in Golden State, where they have structure, where they have leadership, to now they don't have any of that. None of it. His confidence has already been chipped away. And you wonder why this dude is playing the way he's playing right now. You wonder why this guy is playing the way he is playing right now. When you talk to me about giving guys credit, I give guys credit when credit is due. But I like to put context on it. Stop talking to me like the Miami Heat. Well, that's just it. Just give them credit. No. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. And if it was that simple, I would do that. But I'm not going to do that because it's not that simple. And if you want to say that, yo, a team, well, they won, so let's just end it there. If it was that simple, then we would never talk about sports. We would never talk about sports. If it was just about winning and losing and that be the end of it, then we would never talk about sports. Never. There would be no context. There would be no reasoning. There would be no logic. It would just be they won, you lost, give them credit. And that's the end of it. When there's so much more that goes into it than that. So much more that goes into that. Miami played really well. They played well enough to lose a 3-0 lead. And if Jason Tatum doesn't roll his ankle, they would have smoked y'all. They smoked y'all in game 7. I'm saying it for the people who are scared to say it. They would have smoked y'all in game 7 if he had not gotten hurt. I am not on the fence about that. I am dying on that hill. They would have destroyed the Miami Heat in that game 7. Destroyed them. And whoever this dude, Legault is, hey, Legault, just so you know, only my friends call me Jermaine and my mother. You don't know me well enough to call me Jermaine, sir. No, you don't. You do not know me well enough to call me that. So I would appreciate it if you're going to be in my house, show me some respect. What up?
Can you hear me? Hello?
What up?
What's up, Chill? How's it going?
What up?
So, looks like Boston, well, you know, it looks like I stopped watching the game. Did Halliburton go back into the game?
I didn't see him go back in. No, I didn't.
Looks like Indiana played themselves back into it, so that's going to be a really interesting thing. Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you,
why didn't Tatum play tonight? What happened?
They're resting him for who they have to play on Wednesday.
Okay.
They're playing the best team in the West, so you want him at 100% to, you know, get a revenge game. After, you know, we just stomped Indiana like a couple nights ago. We stomped Indiana in their building.
No reason why Jason Tatum couldn't have played tonight. None.
Really?
I hate
he's
that.
rest.
I hate that. You know when you can rest? You know when you rest? You can rest in the off season. That's when you can rest. You can rest when the season's over. I'm tired of hearing this dumb logic about resting. No, that's garbage.
True plus
Tatum. Years old. Give me a break, man. Give me a break.
Yeah, that is true. Tatum is a bit of an Iron Man as well, so he does play most of the games in the season. So I understand that.
What did he play? 78 games last year? 77 games last year?
He was almost he almost played 82 games. Porzingis, I get. Porzingis you have to manage because he's injury prone. Can you at least get with that one?
No. No, I'm not.
He's injury prone.
So that's a him problem. Take better care of your body. How about that? I I don't get what the logic that this guy's injury prone. Sure, you have to manage guys. 100% you do have to manage guys. Sure, you have to take care of guys. But the idea of a guy not playing, a guy resting, you can rest in the off season. That's what I do. That's what I do in the summertime. That's why I build up my body. That's why I do all of this stuff that I do to get ready for the season.
What about Kawhi Leonard? What about Kawhi? He has degenerative knees. So you can't. He's gonna go. Okay, so let's say he plays 50 games. He hurts his knees, and now he's out for the remainder of the season. When you could have rested him right in between and then have him in the postseason. That's kind of like why we rest players. It's not because they can't. It's not because they can't play. They can. It's just you want to reduce the possibility of them getting hurt, so they play when it matters. You know what I mean?
You do know that they did the same thing to him last year, right? Where they.
Yeah, and he still got hurt. Yeah, he still got hurt.
So
yeah.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Anyway, I have a question for you, Chill. I got these two starting lineups. They're fives. There's an offensive one and there's a defensive one. So the first one is an offensive lineup. So I got Steph Curry at 1, right? I got Brian at 2. I got KD at the 3. I got Joel. I want to say.
I think I lost him. I heard Joel Embiid. Yeah, I think I lost him. Maybe we can get him back. I had him and then I lost him. I never got with that logic, man. That logic just doesn't make sense to me. The whole idea of it, I just never got with that logic, man. Never did, and I never will, because I know for a fact that the off season is when you rest, when you rejuvenate, and you build your body up to handle the rigors of the NBA season and what the NBA season entails. There's a reason why the all-time greats are the all-time greats. Like I had a guy say to me a couple of days ago, we was talking about Halliburton. And Halliburton's going to break John Stockton's all-time assist record. Well, before he can do that, we could start the conversation, right? We could start the conversation with him playing every game. We could start that because just so you know, John Stockton, 12 out of 13 years, played 82 games. So if you're going to be that good as a distributor, and you're going to have that kind of production, you can't play 55 games here and then 70 games here and then 60 games here. You got to play every night. That's the first part of it. After that, you still have to have a lot of stuff work in your favor. So, and on top of that, you have to play at this level. You got to play at that level. I mean, John Stockton averaged 13 assists, I think, for 10 years. Yeah, he averaged 13 assists for 10 years. And he played 10 more years after that. Just for clarity. Yeah, he averaged 13 assists for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then he played 7 more years after that. After he played 10 years. So with that being said, right? In order for you to break his assist record, in order for you to break his assist total record, you have to, at minimum, play every night. That's the first thing that you have to do. Once you do that, then those like what we talking about, how awesome he is with the 14 assists and the 17 assists. Well, 13 assists has to be on average. And you got to do that for a decade. You got to do that for 10 years. If you could do that for 10 years, then we could talk about some other stuff. Then we can do that. Until then, let's chill out on these dudes, man. Like Tyrese Halliburton, I think he's fantastic. But if you think that I'm gonna throw Tyrese Halliburton in the conversation with with Luka, Curry and Fox and Trae Young, Jamal Murray. I ain't doing that yet. No, I'm not doing that yet. And the reason why I'm not doing that yet is because, one, durability matters. Last season, he missed a bunch of games. And number two, postseason matters. And if you can't perform in the postseason, which I haven't seen him do yet, I can't talk about you like I talk about the mother dude. So, what up?
What's up, Joe? Just check. We're fine. We're okay, right? Nothing personal, correct?
It's never personal.
Okay.
You owe me no money. You owe me some money?
No, I don't.
You sleeping with my lady?
Mm-mm.
You got a problem with my family?
No.
Then what do I have personal against you? You might say some nonsense from time to time where I'm like, man, get the hell out of here, but it ain't personal.
All right. I was going to refer to TikTok about the whole Jordan Poole thing. It wasn't even at you, because I read this comment from one of your viewers. It said, who realistically has Steve Kerr, what did you say? Who has Steve Kerr really developed while he's been a coach? So then on top of my head, I'm like, yeah, Steph came in with Mark Jackson, who was talented. Draymond, same thing. Clay, same thing. But I don't think Steve Kerr gets credit for what he was doing with Jordan Poole. You know how much freedom he gave Jordan Poole to do what he did as a rookie and as a second-year starter? I mean, I think that was conducive to the offense, though. It wasn't like they just gave him free reign. No, that was a part of the offense, too. Golden State Warriors had the type of offense where it's wide open, a lot of action off the ball, a lot of movement. If you notice, contrary to popular belief, Steph isn't ball dominant. Steph is one of those guys. It's 2-3 dribbles, shoot the ball or get off the ball. Same thing with Klay Thompson. 2-3 dribbles, shoot the ball or get off the ball. If you can shoot it, bet. Now, a guy like Jordan Poole, when he was out there, don't get me wrong, the confidence that and the freedom that Steve Kerr gave him, it was to his detriment sometimes. Because I saw Steph Curry roll his eyes plenty of times at Jordan Poole for shooting the ball. Like, what is this dude? What is this dude doing? What is he doing? So, sure, he definitely did do that. But I think it's important to recognize, and I think you have to recognize this. No, confidence is a big deal. It's a huge deal. Contrary to popular belief, B, despite how good you are, that's predicated on how confident you are. Jimmy Butler is evidence of that. But Joe, you do know how many players go through adversity. I mean, they've gone through countless, there's so many instances and cases of, I mean, I don't want to get specific, but more than just getting punched in front of the whole world. I mean, it might sound like coming from me that I'm being harsh on Jordan Poole, but they go through this. I mean,
no, they don't actually. No, they don't. Like how much different? As good a shooter as Steve Kerr is, how different you think that would have been if we would have saw Steve Kerr get punched in the face by Jordan?
I don't know. It's a different
whole world.
It's a different
in the whole world. If we'd have seen Steve Kerr get punched in the face by Jordan, it would have been way different. It would not have just been. Hey man, I'm sorry for punching you in the face, and that would have been the end of it. No, that would not have been the end of it. It would have been way more than that. And Steve Kerr, he could have faulted because of that. Just like Jordan Poole, it was made a big deal. Plus, with Draymond Green's track record, it made it worse. Made it even worse because of who he is.
How about when certain sports athletes, when an abuse charge comes out, isn't that just as bad, if not worse, to that person's morale and public image?
Say that first part again.
Whenever a sports athletes, you've heard several sports athletes that get caught up in abusement charges or some criminal charges. I feel like that's more detriment on their actual public image, and they come through pretty well.
Well, the reason why is because on the basketball court, that's their sacred ground. That's where they are able to escape that. Any basketball player will tell you that despite whatever it is that they're going through, those four lines that they have, when they get on that floor, it's a barrier. Mm-hmm. Nobody could come out here. Nobody bothers me. This is my sacred ground, right? Mm-hmm. This is my sanctuary right here. This is where whatever problems I got, they go away. But 9 times out of 10, those problems aren't public. So when a guy is on the nonsense that he's on, or he's in trouble for some nonsense, Kobe Bryant is a prime example of that. Like, he got ridiculed. We didn't even know what was going on during that time. We didn't know what exactly had happened.
In 2003?
He's a rapist. He's this. He's that. And it was clear that affected his game. It was clear that it did. But eventually, those things started to die down. Why? Because winning cures a lot.
It does.
Winning has a tendency to cure a lot. With that being said, a guy like Jordan Poole, who was young, who hadn't been seasoned, and he gets into this nonsense with Draymond Green, and it's all over the news. Absolutely, that's going to affect him. You guys expect these dudes, because they pro athletes, to just be these Ironmen. They people just like you and me, yo. That's people fair. Just like us.
That's so. Fair. I'm not defending at all Draymond what he did. I think what he did was super wrong. I feel disappointed that Jordan Poole didn't that he didn't overcome that obstacle. That he didn't detach from Draymond. Yeah.
The difference is, I mean, he's still young. So I mean, I don't think that Jordan Poole is over. I just think that he's in a tough space right now. Can he overcome this? We're about to find out. We are about to find out. It's the same dude who, 2 years ago, people was talking about him like he's the next Bradley Beal. I was like, whoa, hang on, let's chill out. Is he that nice? Like, he could be Donovan Mitchell good. I'm like, easy. Let's see this thing play out first. So that's what that is. All right. All right.
All right. Bye, show.
What up? How you doing, Chilltown? Can you hear me?
What up? Yeah, you hot. What up?
Sorry about that, brother. I just got off of work. But I was hearing most of what you're saying on my car, so I can hear what you're saying. So for what you're talking about, like the contenders and things like that, getting ready for like getting close to the playoffs and things like that, I do agree with you. And you'll probably hear it from me. I'm more of a guy that values the playoffs more than anything, because I don't care what you're. I tell people this: I don't care if you're only defender. I don't care if you're any of this. If you can't show any of that in the playoffs, because to me the playoffs are where what separates the boys from the men. To me,
it has to translate. Whatever you're doing in the regular season,
it has to translate over there. To me,
if it doesn't, then it's kind of like, what are we doing here? It's like you being an MC and you can only rock in a club. What happens when I put 10,000 people in front of you? Can you throw down in front of them too? Because if you can't throw down in front of them too, then how are you a true MC? How can I value you as a real MC?
Yeah, how can you? Yeah. How can you really be that person that was all throughout the season? And what you were saying about Miami, I do agree. I've said this before. First of all, they weren't the 2022 version of them, because I actually prefer the 2020 version of them more than anything. That last year, that shooting was terrible. How the hell they magically got there is beyond to my understanding. And to me, they're not going to be able to do that again. I think in my brain, at least from the super chat I ever gave to you guys on Player's Choice, I still had either the Celtics #1 and Bucks. The only two I see actually maybe coming out of the East. I cannot give it to Indiana because of bad defense. They are really good. Tyrese Halliburton, I am a fan of him now, but I still think they still need to go through a bunch of other growing pains in order to where they need to get really better. Because I think something is there. Like you said the crew looks like they work, but they got to work on deficiencies to get better so they can really contend. So 76ers have, it's always every year with Joel Embiid, and I like them, but no, I can't say confidently that team will get past anybody. It's like it's not credible to me, because it's every year it's a second round exit with him every year. And he's the best player on that team.
Is it because his game hasn't translated into the playoffs, or is it just because they're just not good enough? Because that could happen.
Yeah,
two things could be true.
I'm so torn on it.
Two things could be true. One could be his game doesn't translate into the playoffs, which is why they're not good enough, or his game doesn't translate into the playoffs and they're not good enough. Because his game could translate into the playoffs, but they still don't get there because they just not good enough. But his game could translate into the playoffs, and they could get there because he's good enough to get them past the second round or the first round.
Right. And last year he had James Harden, and I said, because I'll be honest, I think the NBA now, I think it's run by duels. Like you have another person next to you. And I think it's the most balanced that it's ever been in this case. Even though we've got superstars playing with other superstars, I think LA Clippers are stacked at this point. But because I'm not gonna count them. That's too much. That's like a 4-man threat, literally,
Right.
that you should have.
Right.
But when it's this balance, it's like, okay, you have Damon. Can Dame and Giannis get past the Celtics? I personally don't think so, but Giannis would have to turn into a monster, and Dame's defense would have to actually be good at defense. But am I banking on Damian Lillard's defense? I'm really not. I'm banking more on Giannis.
I'm gonna put something on your mind, and I'm probably gonna get ridiculed for this, but I think Milwaukee is fool's gold. I think they're the best. I think they're the best team in the league.
Worst best team? Yo, I like how you said that. The best team.
I think they're fool's gold. I do. I wouldn't be surprised as good as Giannis is, because I mean, I can't name 2 players on the planet better than Giannis right now. I can't.
Maybe Joker, but I mean, better than him. I
can name one. That's it. That's Joker. Other than that,
all I can say is Joker. That's all I can say.
But with that being said, the way this unit is put together and how they operate defensively, I wouldn't be surprised if they got bounced in round 1. I don't mean lose. I wouldn't be surprised if they got bounced. That would not surprise me if they and Giannis and that could also mean like Giannis going 50 and 20, 38 and 22, and they could still lose.
Yeah,
they could still lose.
Yeah,
I'm not. What I'm not doing is I'm prognosticating, and I'm looking at this Milwaukee team, and there is a gaping hole defensively that I'm thinking to myself, I think that they might be fool's gold.
Right.
I think they might be.
And players' choice, you've talked about like how you're not sold on the Dame thing, and I do agree with you because I'm not sold particularly, just because and I remember somebody saying it might take 2 years for it to get it right, but bro, come on.
I think it's a 3-year window. That's what
I think. A 3-year window for him?
I think it's a 3-year window. And the reason why I think it's a 3-year window because I think that Dame will be 36 in 3 years, and I think that at that point he'll start slowing down.
Yeah.
That's why I get this. So they got 3 years to figure this thing out. They already got Giannis back in the fold. They've already re-signed him. So this isn't a situation where they got to worry about him coming off the books in a year or him opting out in a year. I think they got 3 years. And within these 3 years, if they can't get it done, I think that's it. Because I think Dame starts to slow down after that. For these people who believe that Damian Lillard, like Steph Curry, he could play at this level for 5 more years, they completely leave out the fact that he's not going to be 35 in 5 years.
No.
He's going to be 40 in 5 years. Right. He's not. Damian Lillard is not going to be 33 in 5 years. He's going to be 38. And we already see what's happening to Chris Paul. Yeah. So let's chill out on it.
Right. And before I do go, I like the people in the West. The West is, like I said, I always said the West has always been slightly better, if not better. It still has always been. And that I'm actually looking forward to. Like, I think Thunder, as much as ESPN like to talk their nonsense, they are a good young team, like the Kings. And you know what I want to see? I want to see Kings versus freaking the OKC.
In the first round.
OKC. I want to see that. And the reason why I want to see that is because those are 2 really good, healthy teams, really young core that are thriving, that are like this. I'm thinking like, of course, they're not at the tier of the Denver and all of them, but they can still give you competition. And I think they can stretch it to a 7-game series, like what De'Aaron Fox did last year. I was actually impressed by the Kings. I actually noticed De'Aaron Fox because of that. I'm like, yo, De'Aaron, this kid's got something. And the fact that you took it to 7 games with Warriors, I actually wanted them to bounce out the Warriors. I ain't gonna lie, because I'm like, yo, do something for.
They had him in the chokehold. They had him down 3-2. They had him out. They had him.
Yep.
They had him.
They had him, dude. And the same thing with Shai right now. Like literally, like what he's doing right now. Like I'm liking this kid. This kid is good. Like OKC literally got another star. Like this is another superstar, another John Morant coming in. I won't compare him to there, but I think he's going to be another superstar.
Which I can agree with that. I will get with that. I'm not entertaining the Shea being better than Jason Tatum right now.
No, I'm not. No.
I don't even address that. And the reason why I don't address that is because that's recency bias. And I'm cool with you having recency bias, but
Right,
I'm not,
right, but I
not
wouldn't put him over.
that.
I wouldn't put him over. Come on, man. Tatum's been here a little bit longer, but also
I'm
he
good.
still has room. Tatum still has room to grow. His skill set is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I am a Tatum fan because I do like his style of play,
Yeah.
and also I think the brother will get a chip before. At least I think he'll get a chip this year. Hopefully, he'll get one. That'll solidify him even further. Why he's one of the greats, and he just might have to go through Giannis for it, and I wouldn't mind. And that, honestly, the way that one time they beat them 4 games straight, I don't think it'll happen exactly the same, but I think they're gonna do that for that. But West Side wise, I think there's a lot that can go on. But I'm not like you. I'm not sold on Phoenix personally. I'm not sold on them. Clippers are coming a little more credible, but let's just keep seeing where that goes.
Yeah,
like
y'all.
Keep playing to that intensity. Then I'm going to consider them maybe a threat to Denver to an extent. Yeah, I think they could be a
all
threat.
right, brother. Good to talk to you. You know where to find me at, my man. Yep.
All right.
Out. Take it light. Good to talk to you. What up?
Chill, what's going on?
What up?
Let me ask you a question, man. LeBron's next year is an option year, correct?
I think he opts out at the end of the summer, at the end of the season.
Oh, you thinking what I'm thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna pick up that option either. So the question is, does he resign with the Lakers, especially if the Lakers don't even make the play-in?
I think we pass all of that stuff. If his boy ends up on the Lakers, he's re-signing with the Lakers.
Absolutely. You think Bronny's gonna be a one and done?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I do. He's actually getting. I don't think he's ready. Make sure that we clear on this. I don't think he's ready. I do not think he's ready. But he's actually gotten better. I think he had 15 a couple of nights ago. He actually looked good. He actually looked good. But he's one of those guys that I watch and I'm like, he needs to go to school. He's not ready yet. 100% he needs to go to school. And I wouldn't mind seeing him in school for another year or two.
Yeah, same here.
I don't think he's ready. Unfortunately, my father don't have that much time left. That's the difference. It ain't like my father, 35 years old.
You say that, Chill, but in the right situations, I'm pretty sure you can squeeze another 3 years out of LeBron.
I don't think he wants to play that long, man. I don't. I think he's waiting on his boy, and I think he's waiting on his boy, and I think he's out.
With that in mind, where do you think he ends up?
I don't think he wants to leave Los Angeles. I can't see him putting on a Detroit Piston uniform. I can't see him putting on a Portland Trailblazer uniform. I just can't see it. I can't. I think that he will be wherever his boy is, but I think he'll be in a situation that's best. Because, again, we're talking about a 19-year-old kid who was basically raised in the NBA. And in the process of him being raised in the NBA, his father is going to acclimate him to the game. It's kind of like moving your kid in and then living in that city for like a year. I'm gonna move in, he'll live there for a year, and then all right, you straight, I'm out. I'm gone. And I think that's where James is. I don't think that him waiting on his other boy, I don't think he's gonna be able to be around for that. I can't see James playing 3-4 more years. I can't. I don't see it.
Do you think that let's say Bronny doesn't come back, or doesn't come out? Do you think that could get LeBron out of LA?
He signs a 1-year deal.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking a 1-year deal somewhere. But even with that,
I think he stays in Los Angeles. I think he's just. I just think he signs a 1-year deal.
Chill. I don't see the deal that the Lakers can do that can get them back into a championship team. I don't see that deal. I don't see the coach. I don't see the player. Like, if you see it, let me know.
Are we still relying on James at 39 years old to be?
Yes, Chill. Yes, Chill. Yes, yeah.
We're still doing that?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, man.
Yes.
We're still doing that. There's no way we can still be doing that with a dude That's almost 40 years old. The Lakers wasn't doing that with Jabbar. He was not. Jabbar had to take a step back. Magic was the guy. James Worthy was the guy. That had to go that way. It had to. As good as James is, and I have to accept the fact that James is an anomaly minor. All right, I got to accept that. 100% I do. I accept that. However, when you are that old, we cannot consider ourselves serious championship contenders when our best player almost 40 years old. We can't, yo. You can't. There's no way. I'm 25 years old. A 40-year-old is not kicking my ass. He's not.
Tell that to Paul George last night.
Come on, man.
Just saying, he's still got the goods, man.
Yes, he does. Oh, 100%. He does. That's
He's
what
still
got. I won't
he's
argue that.
still. It's not like. Of course, Father Time is starting to kick in, but man, he's still got it. And like I said, in the right situation, he could very well put a couple of teams over the top.
Here's the problem, though, man. The problem is he's always been the lead singer. Like, he can't get on a crew and, you writing songs for somebody else and him being in the background. That can't work.
I don't know, Chill. I think if he I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go ahead and just put this out here. There was Draymond said he might have retired. This year is a good possibility he might retire. So they might need some a big body up there in Golden State that can facilitate and playmate.
All you're doing is putting, them little small Band-Aids. This is the size of the gunshot hole. You're putting a small Band-Aid on it. You're not even slowing down the bleeding. You're not.
Oh no, of course not. But I think, come on, you telling me for one season while we waiting for Bronny to finish developing at UCLA?
That's all it is.
You don't want to see it for one season.
That's all it is ticket sales. That's all you do.
Oh yeah, all right, 100%.
You ain't doing nothing else because you ain't serious about winning. You're not.
Oh, no.
With 36-year-old Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, who's clearly slowed down, James, who will be 40 going into that season. You ain't serious. You're not. You're trying to sell tickets, and that's okay. I take no issue with that. I take no issue with that whatsoever. But don't tell me that you're serious about winning because you're not.
Oh yeah, no, it's purely for the entertainment factor. Yeah, nah.
You're not. So, all right, brother. You know where to find me.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. What up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to gauge your thoughts on a championship window. You have like a team, and like for me, it's the Celtics in particular. I think about when I think about a championship window, and I think, when do we say that it's over for them? Like, they've been together for 5 years now, and this is another season where they're one of the best seasons in the league. And I think if they don't win it this year, when do we kind of say it's time for this team to get blown up? Like, I don't think they're going to win it this year, the Celtics, in my personal opinion. I just think they remind me of, from what I've known and I've seen from the 90s Supersonics, those kind of teams where you get to the finals. And I do believe that when you get to the finals, if you don't have that transcendent player, there's no guarantee of you getting back there. And the way you lose in those finals and the way they lost to Golden State, because I was rooting for the Celtics. I didn't want Golden State to win that finals in 2022. And I think the way they lost in that finals, it was just kind of an IQ error that they kind of just decided to play drop coverage on Steph Curry. I don't get that. But for me, it's that kind of idea of, is there kind of an arrogance to this?
I'm sorry, I was laughing at you, but did he really? Did they really do that? Was that incredible? Was that incredible?
It was crazy.
I was sitting in front of the TV like, am I really watching this right now? Are they playing drop coverage on Steph Curry? Are y'all really doing that?
They dared Steph to shoot, and he shot the brakes off those dudes.
What are you guys doing? That's like playing one-on-one coverage on Olajuwon. We're just gonna throw the ball in. We're not gonna help you. Just go. You got him. Are you kidding me?
Any great, it's like playing one-on-one with Shaq. To be fair though, when Detroit did play one-on-one with him, but George, they're the best person to ever do what he does, and
I dare you to shoot it. I dare you, Steph. Go ahead.
And honestly, that game plan was so bad. It actually made Klay Thompson look like he could actually still be an NBA player 2 years later. But that was the best Klay Thompson looked since that. He's never looked that good since that point in the finals. Like, he averaged, I think, like 6, maybe like 18. I think he averaged in that finals, and on decent percentages. But you could see the next year, once the Lakers decided they wasn't going to play that game plan, they had some smart players.
No, we're not doing that.
They destroyed the Warriors in 6, and it wasn't a close 6, by the way.
No,
like, once
they handled them. They handled it.
It was a clean handle. But I was going to say with the Celtics, I do believe in a way, like, and I know you're a big proponent of the Celtics, but in a way, like, I almost feel like it's almost this kind of like this idea of them being young and getting back to the finals. You know, I think like the Celtics are the Supersonics to me. I think you get to the finals, you meet that transcendently great player, you lose in a fashion where you start to question the players and how they play. And I just wonder, like, does that window close much quicker than we think? Because there's not many teams, when you think about those young cores, when they get to the finals, they have to kind of retool, like the OKC Thunder. Once they got rid of Harden, they never got back. And I'm not sure if this. I don't think you can mentally get over that, the way they lost, and the fact that then they lost again the next season. I don't know. I don't know if I trust them in the finals. I don't know if they get there. I don't know if they're going to win it. I just want to get your thoughts on that opinion. Maybe I'm wrong in that, my assessment.
So, number one, Jason Tatum is 25 years old, and Jaylen Brown I think he's 26, going on 27. So I think as long as you have these two guys, I think you have an opportunity to win. So as long as these two guys are on your team, you always have an opportunity to win. When you talk about that transcendent player, I mean, the Celtics didn't have a transcendent. I mean, Paul Pierce isn't transcending.
We say KG is, though.
But KG was on the other side of who he was. He was basically Jabbar when Magic got him. It wasn't like KG was in year 7. He was still the best defense, but you could argue KG. Well, he was the defensive player of the year. So he's. And with that being said, you could do that with Boston. So imagine putting Rudy Gobert on the Boston Celtics, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Because now what that does, that gives them a different element that they didn't have. And now this could be a different identity to your team, as opposed to we just solely are dependent on these guys. Now, Dirk Nowitzki showed me in the finals, just get me there. Keep it close, I'll end it. He showed me that he could do that. Paul Pierce with the Boston Celtics. I'm gonna stay within the unit. Our mantra is gonna be defense. This is what we're gonna be about. Kevin Garnett is our tough guy. He's our defender. He's our rim protector. He's our meat and potatoes guy. The rest of us, we're gonna feed off of that. With Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I believe you have a really good young 1-2 punch. And as long as these two guys are together, you just continue to build other things around them. They aren't like the Seattle Supersonics, who, if they ran into in 94. Remember that Houston Rockets team that won the NBA championship in back-to-back seasons? Just so you know, Seattle bounced them out of the playoffs, I think 6 times in 8 years.
Wow,
the lucky thing about Houston, the year that they won the NBA championship in 94, Seattle got bounced in round 1 by Denver. Yeah. And they were the best team in the league. So Houston now doesn't have to see them. Because if Houston has to see them, now we got a problem. Because remember, the next year, they're also out of the playoffs early. So now the Rockets win the NBA championship in back-to-back seasons. In the 1995-96 season, the Houston Rockets are now the 2-time defending champions. Guess what happened when they saw Seattle in the playoffs?
They got swept.
Goodbye. So I think it's about matchups. I think it's about getting lucky. A lot of this kind of stuff matters. Yeah. It matters way more. So a lot of things have to go your way in order to actually win it. Like, getting there is one thing. Winning it is something completely different. And I think about a guy in Jason Tatum, in Jaylen Brown. These are kids, 24, 25 years old. I'm trying to imagine Jordan at 25 years old in the NBA Finals against Larry Bird.
The only thing I'll say to that though is I just want to respond to 2 points when you said about the Celtics team. So those Celtics teams in 2008, and that's that's one of my favorite teams of all time. But that playoffs was particularly difficult for those guys. Like they struggled for that playoffs. And as smart as those guys was, as you said, they were on the other side. But there was at least an IQ standpoint that I could trust from KG, Garnett, Rondo. Even James Posey, all of those guys in that team.
Weren't they, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but weren't they in like dog fights?
7 games with Detroit, 7 games with Cleveland, 6 games.
Dog fights, yeah, they were.
They went 6 games with Brian, and I can't remember who. I think
Atlanta. They went 7 games that first round against Atlanta.
They went 6 games with Detroit and Lakers, and they went 7 games with Atlanta, and they went 7 games with Cleveland. So they were they were in hard, tough. They wasn't
fights.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that concerns me with the Celtics. I don't think that they are so divergent from the pack that if they get a bad series where, for example, Jaylen Brown isn't playing well, Jason Tatum isn't playing that well, they could lose. I think they could lose to a lot of teams in the East. And I think that's what kind of concerns me about this team is that they've never seemed to kind of differentiate themselves from the pack, where they've kind of just broken away and then say this is clearing away the best team in the East. And I think for young teams, for them to win the championship, they have to do that. I think when 91, when the Bulls won it eventually, they were clearing away one of the best teams in the league outside of the Lakers. So they walked to
the finals that year.
Yeah,
smoked the Knicks in round 1. Beat Philly in 5 and swept Detroit. They walked to the finals.
Yeah, I think they went 15-3 throughout the playoffs in 91. So
they only lost 2 games that year.
Only 2. Okay, so 15-2. So that's what I mean. I think with those type of teams, when they eventually, when the same with the Detroit Pistons, when they kind of dog walk everybody in the East, there's something about the Celtics that make their games and their series is more difficult than it needs to be. Maybe it's the shot selection, maybe it's the IQ, but I just get this impression with Boston is. My concern is that because they haven't taken this drastic leap, where I don't think Tatum is. I think Tatum's an MVP candidate, but I don't think he's an MVP. Is that a fair assessment to make?
Well, I think that you are looking at the MVP a little bit different than I'm looking at it. So let's rewind a little bit when you're talking about the series. I think that in order for them to lose early, I think that there has to be a complete collapse within the series. I think you could get a game where Jason Tatum plays bad or Jaylen Brown plays bad. But in order for them to lose the series, I think that there has to be a complete and total collapse from a multitude of guys. I don't think it's just Jason Tatum. I don't think it's just Jaylen Brown. Because across the board, in terms of a talent standpoint, I think they're good enough to make up for a lot of that early. I don't mean when we're talking about late in the playoffs. I'm talking about early. So when they run up on, I don't know, let's say in the first round, they got to see Atlanta. And if Jason Tatum doesn't play good, we're good enough with the rest of our guys that we can handle these dudes. Now, it might take 6-7 games to do it, but I think that we're good enough that we can handle these guys. Now, that probably won't happen when you have to see Philadelphia, when you have to see Milwaukee or Miami. When you see a team like that, I don't think that that's going to be the case, right? Yeah. So with that also being said, one of the biggest problems that we have with the league MVP is that the league MVP sometimes goes to the best player in the league, but that's not always the case. But that's the way we look at it. When it's the league MVP, it's the best player in the league, only except that's not true. So for a guy like Jason Tatum to win it, does that mean he's the best player in the game? No, it doesn't, because Steve Nash wasn't the best player in the game when he won it.
You could argue that, though, he was. I do believe there's an argument.
I think there's an argument that he was one of the best players in the game. I don't think he was better than James. I don't think he was better than Bryant. And I'm not sure he was better than Dirk Nowitzki. Same thing with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook in 2017 was not the best player in the game.
No, that one I can agree with you on that one.
No, he was not the best player in the game. James Harden in 2018 was not the best player in the game.
That one I disagree. You can
make an argument for James Harden. Sure, you can definitely make an argument for James Harden being one of the best players. I mean, don't get me wrong. 36-10, that's a pretty big deal.
No, that was the next season. He went 30, and I think he went 30-8.
I think 34. I think that's what it was. I think it was 34 the year before that.
It was something ridiculous.
I think it was 34-8. But with that being said, I don't think James Harden was the best player in the game. I think he had an argument for being the best player in the game, sure, but I don't think he was the best player in the game. In 2015, I don't think Steph Curry was the best player in the game. I don't. That
No,
doesn't.
but
He
no.
was playing like that. 100% he was. You
It was
can't
a
give.
year too early with Steph. I do agree. I do believe it was a year too early. I think they
Mhm.
should have given it to. Like, I don't. In 2015, I would have given it to Steph because I think he was the best, had the best season. I don't think LeBron. I don't think Kawhi would have deserved it either. Even though I think they would. I think Durant. I don't think they would have. I think Durant was injured, but I think they weren't in the conversation for that. But for me, how I look at a league MVP is that you have to be transformational in your team. So it's not necessarily you have to be one of the best players. I do think there's a range. I don't think a top 10 player can win the MVP. I think it's usually the top 5 that usually win the MVP. And I think
I'd like to think that, and I do agree with that point. I think that in order to be in the league MVP conversation, you have to at minimum be in the conversation to be a top 5 player.
of course.
I can definitely get with that logic. I think Jason Tatum is a top 5 player. That's just me. And the reason why I feel like that is because of what he does in the postseason and what Joel Embiid does not do.
That's
Your
fair.
game has to translate. And not only that, he outplayed Joel Embiid not once, twice in the postseason. He outplayed him. So because of that, I'd like to think that with those deep playoff runs that he's made, and in addition to what he's done in the postseason, what he's done in the regular season, that stuff matters. Last year he had a career year. He was 30-8.
Yeah, he did. I mean, could you argue that the Celtics teams are a better balanced team than Joel Embiid has ever had? Because I don't think Joel Embiid's teams have been particularly balanced for his skill set. You have a guy who he had Ben Simmons for a long time, and you have a heavy isolation scorer in James Harden when he's a guy who has to not post up much, but face up the basket and hold possessions very long and isn't necessarily a good passer. So I think the Boston Celtics teams, I think, have been a better balanced team since the time Joel has been in the league. I just think you have to reward the way Joel Embiid plays because of just for the league, for the standpoint of just developing the league. You have to reward a guy who is basically on the top 3 team in the league and averaging a 30-point double. I mean, he's averaging 35 and 12. I mean, I can't do much with that. But in the same token, you're right. I think his game doesn't translate well enough into the playoffs for me to give him another one.
Yeah.
So
I'll talk to you, brother. You know where to find me at.
Thank you.
All right, yo. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm really interested. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely gonna be paying attention to more. I'm definitely gonna be paying more attention to these guys, these teams that I talked about throughout the course of this 27 game stretch, because I think it's going to tell me a lot about who these guys are. It's going to tell me a lot about who these guys are really quickly. What up? What up?
Hello, can you hear me?
What up? What up?
Chill. I'd have to kind of agree with him there a little bit. I think that it's like we're at a point now where Boston needs to win a championship. You can't keep going to the conference championship over and over and over again, or getting to the finals and losing. Like it's time for you guys to actually win it all. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to lose my patience with Boston.
Absolutely.
But my original,
I won't argue that. I won't argue that at all.
my original question was, I had these 2 starting 5 lineups. One was offensive and one was defensive. So I'll go through the offensive first. So I got Steph Curry at 1, James Harden at 2, Carmelo Anthony at 3, Dirk Nowitzki at 4, Jokic at 5. And the defensive lineup is Gary Payton at 1, Sidney Moncrief at 2, Kawhi Leonard at 3, Dennis Rodman at 4, Mutombo at 5.
So
who do you have winning?
The defensive lineup one more time. So Peyton at the 1, Sidney
Moncrief
at the 2. Who's at the 3?
Kawhi Leonard
at the 3. Dennis Rodman at the 4. Who's at the 5?
Mutombo
at the 5. And then on the offensive end, you got Curry at the 1, Bryant at the 2.
Harden. I changed it to Harden.
Okay, so Harden at the 1, Bryant at the 2,
No, two. Harden at the 2, Steph at the 1. Sorry.
Okay. Steph at the 1, Harden at the 2. Who's at the 3?
Melo at the 3, Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo at the 3. Who's at the 4?
Dirk at the 4.
And then
And I got Joker at the 5.
Joker at the 5. I like this. I like that offensive team, but that defensive team is going to be a huge problem because I think Gary Payton, I think he's going to give Steph Curry a lot of trouble. Because one, what kind of offense are they going to run? Are they going to run an offense where James Harden is the distributor? He's going to be the lead guard. Steph's going to probably play off the ball because I don't think Steph's going to play on the ball as much. Dennis Rodman having to deal with Dirk Nowitzki. I think that Dennis can do as good a job as anybody. I think he'll give Dirk at 7 feet tall. I think he'll give Dirk trouble. I think he can give Dirk as much trouble as possible. Mutombo, on the other hand, I think he'll have his hands full with Joker, depending on the kind of offense that you guys run. The reason why I'm saying that is because Joker is the kind of guy who he facilitates the offense. You got your primary ball handler in James Harden. However, the offense should run through Joker. And if the offense doesn't run through Joker, it's going to be stagnant because Joker is the guy who you're going to get a lot of off ball. Like Steph Curry would be great off ball with Joker. But that depends on how you implement Joker in the offense. You can't just have Joker running around like setting down screens. No, I like Joker at the pinch post. I like Joker at the mid post. And I like running the offense through him as opposed to James Harden standing at the top of the key, pounding the ball, going one-on-one. I don't think you have a shot if you're going to do that. Because that team defensively, they're going to shut the door on that. So that's that. All right. I got a couple super chats here that I got to get to. Terry with 2 dads says, Wells Fargo Arena with my tool in right now. Fourth quarter screaming, what the hell, Batoon? He says, how you doing, Chill? Remember when you told me that D-Wade would be Norman Powell in today's game? Troll alert! Troll alert! Woo, 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 woo! Troll alert! Troll alert! What up?
Hello.
What up?
Remember when so you stand by that if Jordan never left in 94, 95, you think the Rockets beat them?
Yes.
Do we talk about Olajuwon different if we just beat Jordan?
Yes.
How differently? Is he up on the list higher, the all-time list?
I just think we talk about him different. I don't think he's any higher, but I do think we talk about him different. In fact, I think it affects Jordan's legacy more than it affects anybody's.
Do you think?
Because it was a big man era. So the big man was king. And for Jordan to lose to Olajuwon, I think that would have affected Jordan's legacy more than anything. I think Jordan leaving was the best thing that happened to his career. Because I think we talk about him way different if he would have stayed. Because I don't think they would have beat the Rockets.
Yeah. And I have one more question. So how many more runs? Like how long are you giving the Celtics to like somewhat out on them, as you would say?
As long as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are together.
Okay. Yeah. That's all. Have a great day, bro.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, people don't forget that, Riley. People do not forget that in 95 Baby Shaq beat Jordan. No, people do not forget that. I don't forget that. People do not forget that. Because I remind people of that. Or I'm reminded of that on the regular, to be honest with you. So, what up, Breezy?
Chilling, man. How you doing, Chill?
Trying not to be the villain, fam. Trying not to be the villain. It ain't easy out here, B. It's hard trying not to be the villain, B.
I know. Yeah, I wanted to ask for your help. I am trying to get Spencer Royce traded. Royce to Atlanta because of the Snyder. Spencer Royce traded there and DeJounte Murray to the Nets. Do you think that's even feasible, and does it work for both teams?
DeJounte Murray to the Nets. I actually like your crew, Breezy. The problem is Ben Simmons, man.
He played 6 out of 36 games, Chuck.
Come on, B. That's the problem, yo. That is the problem right there. We can't rely on this dude.
I just want to say, you might not have known this, but Nets fans are real salty. Ben Simmons posted something yesterday on IG saying, "On my way, feet crossed, living the lavish life on his way to Paris." And the fans is like, bruh, like
stealing, crook. That's what we're looking at, Breezy. You crook. Stealing.
Man. So, but you don't think it's feasible? It won't work?
It depends on what you're giving up. Because I actually like DeJounte Murray. I like DeJounte Murray in Brooklyn, right? I'm not ready to give up on Royce yet, but for DeJounte Murray, so I'm going to move Murray to the 2. I'm going to keep Mikal at the 3, and who is my lead guard? Because Ben Simmons hasn't played.
No, I got DJ the lead guard.
That's what I was about to say. Is Dennis Smith Jr. Is he still is he your lead guard? Is that who you're rolling with?
No. Yeah, well, we want him to, because Ben Simmons is not in the roster rotation. We want, as a fan base, in my opinion, I think we want DSJ to be the backup point guard. We love DSJ. Right. Love what he's bringing to the team, and also we feel like I feel like DeJounte Murray, for the lack of perimeter defense that we have because Ben Simmons is not there, DeJounte Murray will be able to, kind of help that with him averaging 1.5 steals per game currently. And that being said, that's where we hurt the most. We are 20th in defense because we keep letting the long ball. Everybody having fun. They just go to the 3-point line. They set up picnic chairs and all type of shit, and they just did the whole game and just do whatever they want. Portland hit 23s on us. This shit hurt my net fan. This shit hurt my net fan soul, man.
Portland, B.
Portland hit 23s on the Brooklyn Nets.
You got Scoot looking like Scoot about to be something serious for real. I watched that game yesterday. Scoot looking like, it took 42.
Yeah,
it took 42 from Mikal, and they still lost.
Word. Mikal is he's not an offensive juggernaut, and I just wanted to hear you speak to this real quick because I know you'd be busy. The whole transition of Mikal becoming this offensive juggernaut, he kind of left his defense wherever. I don't know where he left it, but he don't have it no more. And as a fan, I want to see him get back to that because we're hurting so bad on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Mikal Bridges scores 42 or tries to score big and make it replace his defense, but it don't, chill.
No, remember too, Breezy. So when he's in Phoenix, so he running with Chris Paul, he running with Book, he running with Ayton. So he can focus primarily on being a defender. With that being said, he comes over to Brooklyn, and I think that kind of unlocked him a little bit, but he kind of got away from that because I felt like he was trying to prove that they made a mistake trading him instead of sticking to his actual game, which is I'm a perimeter defender where a lot of my offense is stop and pop, transition. I can get stuff in the one-on-one, but that's really not my game. He is a two-way player, but he's not a two-way player to that magnitude. I don't think he's a 23, 25 a game guy. I think he's a 18, 19 a game guy.
You spot on.
But an all-league defender too. That's what I think that I'm looking at with him. And I think that building him up to be a scorer like that, I don't think that he's got enough in his package and in his bag in order to be that. So I don't want to deal him. I'm not interested in dealing him, but I think that the scheme has to be different. Make him more of a defender like he was in Phoenix, and get a prolific scorer around him. That way he can be a two-way player, which he is, but I feel like he can focus more on defense because I think that's where his strength is.
Yeah, me too. So should I keep going forward this DJ Murray? I'm gonna keep going. I think it's the best option. DJ in his last season with the contract. No, I'm not sure of that. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure of his contract situation, but I know he'll help.
I think you could do better than DeJounte Murray. I do.
But do you see the Brooklyn Nets making a move if it's not DJ Murray before the trade deadline?
Absolutely, 100%. I see. Breezy, you actually heard me say this. I think you need a 5-man and move Claxton to the 4.
Cam, you got anybody you should be looking at?
Yeah, the kid from Indiana, Miles Turner.
Okay, yeah, they probably gonna trade Miles Turner. He was talking like he wanted to get traded last season.
Miles Turner. That's what I was
Oh,
thinking. As
yeah, we
and
need.
the reason why I'm liking him is because it's kind of the opposite of what's going on in Memphis with Jaren Jackson and Steven Adams, where Steven Adams is the rebounder, Jaren Jackson is the rim protector. Well, flip that around, and now Turner is the rim protector, and Claxton is the dirty work guy. He's the glass cleaner. He's the paint presser. He's that guy turning away guys. So the question is in terms of contracts, would that work? But I would love to move him to the 4. I would.
All right, yo, I appreciate that, Chill. The
Yes,
Brooklyn
sir.
Nets fans need it, man.
Yeah, I know it. I agree. You know where to find me at, brother. Out. What up?
How you doing, Chilltown?
What's up, brother?
What's up? So I'm Canadian. I'm a
Mhm.
biased Raptors fan. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Mhm.
And I keep seeing everybody mention about Pascal Siakam getting traded and the Raptors blowing it up.
Mhm.
I don't understand what is the point of blowing it up if he's happy to be there. He's not blocking Scotty Barnes' development. He's not a problem in the locker room. And when I look around the league, how many contenders can you look at and say, oh yeah, they 100% blew it up and bounced back? Most of the top contenders in the league never did a full blow up. So what do you think about that?
Well, not only did they not, Siakam isn't old. He only 29? So there's still some time. And it's not like you starting from the bottom. Like Scotty Barnes is legit. I think you got RJ Barrett for insurance just in case you lost Siakam. But I think that RJ Barrett is a 20+ a game guy. I'm not on the fence about that. I'm sure that he's a 20+ a game guy. I think that they'll use him more in that aspect. With that being said, the question is with this contract coming up, I don't think Siakam wants to leave, but I think that we can't lose him for nothing. That's the difference. And I think that the biggest thing with New Jersey, you can't just let him walk out the front door. That can't happen. And I think that if you don't re-sign him, which hasn't happened yet, if you don't re-sign him, you may have to move off of him by the trade deadline because you could lose him in the offseason.
Well, I think the big thing was last year, which not a lot of people are talking about, was Siakam had said whichever team trades for him, he can't guarantee he'll sign an extension,
right?
Which kind of handicapped the Raptors' position for trades.
Right.
So that's kind of messed up. He did that.
Right.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up was I keep seeing a lot of people bring up Embiid free throws, being a free throw merchant, and saying that overrates his scoring ability. I didn't really buy into that until I looked at the free throw numbers. He's got double the free throw attempts of Jokic. Now, I'm not saying Embiid doesn't deserve those, but Embiid having double the free throw attempts of Jokic just doesn't make sense in my brain.
Now, let me ask you this question: how many free throws a game is Joel Embiid getting?
11, I believe.
He's shooting about 11 free throws a game. So if you go back and you look at some of the best scorers in the game, the year James Harden averaged 36, I think he shot 10 free throws a game. The year that Jordan led the league in scoring, he averaged 37. I think Jordan shot almost 10 free throws a game. The year that Bryant averaged 35, I think Bryant averaged around 8 or 9 free throws a game. The best scorers in the game get to the stripe. So the idea that these guys are quote unquote free throw merchants, that's nonsense to me. I don't buy into that logic. And the reason why I don't buy into that logic is because that's part of the game, getting fouled. Now, when you fishing for fouls, so that's part of it. But I don't think that Joel Embiid averaging 35 a game. I mean, like you just said, he gets to the free throw line 11 times. Of those 11 times, what's Joel Embiid shooting? Like 80% from the stripe, something like that?
I looked it up. He's shooting 88%.
So
and all the other scores are showing a lower percentage.
So he's shooting 88% from the free throw line. So that means that of the 35 a game he's getting about 7 or 8 points from the stripe. Where's the other 28 coming from?
Straight buckets.
Right. So it's not like he's going to the stripe and he's getting 17 or 18. He's getting, that's bad. So you figure 7 or 8 points. That's like 20%. That's a little more than 20% of his buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the other 80% coming from? That's just straight buckets. So I'm good on the free throw merchant logic. I am. I'm straight on that.
And also another thing I want to point out is Giannis is also averaging the exact same amount of free throws, but he can't make a free throw.
And he averaging 31 a game, by the way. He's
So
averaging
and he's
31
shooting
a game.
68%. He'd be
Right.
shooting 30. He'd be getting
Right.
35 too if he could.
And he's averaging 31 a game. So, and if Giannis can make free throws, Giannis be averaging close to 40.
Mm-hmm.
If he can,
Oh.
if he can shoot free throws at the clip that Joel Embiid at 88%, Giannis would be averaging close to 40.
You could say that about Shaq back in the day too.
No, they would have had to change the rules for Shaq. They would have had to do something completely different for Shaq. Good to talk to you, brother.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah. One more super chat from Rolo. Rolo said, "Can someone break Scott Skow's 30 assist record?" I don't know, man. That's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard to do. Even though it's not ridiculous, because I mean Halliburton had a 23 assist game. He had a 22 assist game, something like that. He had a 20 assist game. So I don't think it's ridiculous that it can be broke, that it can't be broken. I don't think it's ridiculous to think that it could be broken. What I think is ridiculous is listening to people tell me that he could break John Stockton's assist record. No, I don't think so. I'm good. It's about that time for me, guys. It was good to see you guys tonight. I enjoyed this. It is basketball season. I do what I can to bring the content that's necessary for you guys. And I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I possibly can. I told you already, we will be back on the panel soon, but this is where you guys found me. So it's not like, I'm over here in the meantime. No, this is where I am. And this is where you guys found me. This is where they found me. So this is where I am. So this is what I'm always going to be. But in the meantime, drink water, put on a suit, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Call your mother. Please call your mother. And until then, take it light. But take it. Good stream tonight, man. I enjoyed that 100%, man. I did.